I'm Skinny Bacon, a comic writer, and I created my own genre. So one day, while going through the hundreds of ideas that I'll never write, I quit and turned on YouTube to find that looks like fun. The idea of basing a world around a singular power source and just over-exaggerating that in the environment and characters is really fascinating, and there are really endless possibilities to what you can do with that. So what could I possibly do that hasn't already been done? Well, while steampunk takes inspiration from the Victorian era and cyberpunk shows us a possible future for what the world could look like, I present to you soulpunk, a genre that takes place around the 70s, and the power source is the souls of the dead. Okay, so the idea for the world's power is to come from souls trapped in gems, or more commonly you'll see them trapped in lava lamps. What you see me drawing in the background is concept art for a building that would exist in the world. Pay no mind to the roughness of it. I haven't really practiced backgrounds that much, so this is as much as a visualizer for you as it is practice for me. Back to what I was saying before, these souls act kind of like a light source in many situations, as well as powering the world by forcing them to move a lot and create kinetic energy. Think of how a water wheel is moved by a river and it's constantly generating energy. They kind of work like that. Aside from the souls running on their little hamster wheels, we also have demons. These demons want nothing more to consume souls, but they are trapped in their own world, in a different dimension. And so how do they get to this new world? They make people sign contracts. They astral project through the dimensional plane, and then they have them sign contracts. I talk a little bit more on the reasoning for adding them to the genre later on, but if you want a more in-depth explanation of the demons that I'm going to be using in my world, in my own comic, I have another video that should be out in a couple of days on my channel, if you want to check that out. The point is that they're just these monsters that represent the worst in people, and you can really take that anywhere in your stories. It doesn't matter if they match completely with what I imagine in mind. The point is that they're there and they're used as a way to push the story forward and show different aspects of the world. I mentioned the genre being based around the 70s, but why is that? Well, I wanted to have a nice visual style to focus on with stuff like lava lamps and disco that were all popular in the 70s. But also, in the early 80s was the start of the Satanic Panic, which again ties into the themes of the devils, and another reason why the devils are even in this genre in the first place is the 70s were a big time for rock and roll music with bands like Led Zeppelin, and rock and roll is very heavily based in blues music, and one of the very first known people to have supposedly sold his soul to the devil was the blues musician Robert Johnson. As for the world's fashion, I'd say it's more inspired by the disco era that was going on mid-70s, with the flared pants and all the colors everywhere. The architecture, however, I'd say, at least the part of the world that I'm building currently for my story, the architecture is very much based on the New Orleans style buildings that you'd see during Mardi Gras and stuff like that, with voodoo elements incorporated too, again matching the soul and spiritual theming of the world. One of the characters that came to mind when I was designing this world was the bad guy from Princess and the Frog, and how he was kind of working with the spirits. Now that we know the gist of the genre, let's flesh it out a little bit more. Spirits aren't just an energy source or machinery. They're also used by people as a drug that merges the soul with the injected soul, providing a euphoric feeling that kind of increases physical ability, because now there's multiple souls controlling one body-ish. But every time one soul wears off, like when the effect of the drug wears off, a part of the person's soul is kind of taken with the soul that left. And so it can be really deteriorating for the body physically and mentally if you're not constantly using it. Since souls are used as enhancements, I also imagine tubes surrounding someone's body completely, kind of like Bane from Batman. Also, it might not just be injected into the person. I also imagine technology being powered by it, and so there's a constant source of running souls through tubes, through like an energy powered backpack that you wear underneath your clothes that then cycles souls through the technology again, like water wheel, kind of always moving with the souls. I also imagine the world kind of divided into three segments. There's the upper class, which is the rich that gain more by keeping the poor in poverty because they're more likely to die sooner, which again provides more souls for their factories. As well as the middle class, which is just like your average citizen. They're just like the regular people they're the citizens of most cities. They don't necessarily have complete access to everything, but also they're not like the worst off. And then we have the last group, which is the rebels, which is this world's version of hippies. These people think that it's wrong to use souls, and so they travel the country kind of protesting it. They think it's inhumane, and so they use alternative sources of power like solar panels on the tops of their cars. I'd also like to mention that not the entire world is completely covered in soul power. You can still like leave a big city and you'll see a bunch of green. The farms and stuff, those are still powered by soul energy, but it's not as much as in the big city, and I decided that because I wanted variety in the world, and also back in the 70s there still wasn't as much technology as there is nowadays. Well, that's the end of my concept for now. If you haven't already subscribed, it would mean a lot to me. I also have a Twitch where I sometimes go live. You can find the link to that on my channel. Also, like I said, I should have another video releasing going over the demons that'll be used in my world, as well as the main characters for my world, if you want to check that out too. If you want to share any short stories based around Soulpunk, feel free to join my Discord. The link is in the description as well as on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.